Day shout-outs throughout the show.
What a wonderful celebration.
Yeah.
Big shout out indeed. Regardless of ability, research shows that fathers are less likely than mothers to say they're doing a good job raising their kids.
Parenting isn't easy, even in the best circumstances, but acknowledging the efforts dads put forth in the face of hardship can provide them with reassurance to keep on going. Joining us to continue the convo this morning is Kenneth Braswell, the CEO of Fathers Incorporated and director of the National Responsible Fatherhood Clearinghouse. Good morning to you, Kenneth.
Good morning, Kelly and Tara. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So can you start by explaining what is the DADICATION campaign and why does it matter?
So the DADICATION campaign is a media campaign and is geared towards really elevating the societal narrative for fatherhood. We started the campaign like 5 years ago, and we've put out several different messages and trying to really put out a full scope of what dads may be dealing with. Last year, we took a more serious tone where we really dealt with their struggles and some of the things that were serving as obstacles between them and their children. But this year, we decided to take a lighter space and really look at the first that dads are experiencing. That's the things that you see in the gleams of their eyes when they talk about their children. The first time they said or heard their child say daddy, the first time they pushed them off on a bike and they rode the bike by themselves, the first time they swam, the first time that, you know, they gave you a hug or said I love you. Because it's important not only that we provide the supports for our dads, but it's also equally important that we provide the inspiration.
Those are such validating moments as well. Can you tell us a little bit about the benefits of having that engaged father?
That our children fare so much when their fathers are engaged. And now we see the societal narrative. We see the statistics on what happens when fathers are not engaged in the lives of our children, whether it's related to their education, their health, their self-esteem. But on the flip hand side, you know, research is now showing that when children have active, loving fathers in their lives, particularly in their education, that they fare so much better in school. They're more likely to have A's. They're more likely not to be absent. They're more likely to have high self-esteem. When you're talking about health, they're more apt to be healthy. If you talk about social economics, when fathers are engaged in the lives of their children, they're less likely to be impoverished. And so there's so many positives to when fathers are actively involved in the lives of their children that we must begin to consider fathers as a solution to many of the societal ills that our children face.
Yeah, having the presence of a father in the home is so important, especially for our youth. What are some of the highlights and challenges that newer or younger fathers might experience, and how can dads overcome some of those obstacles that could hinder their parenting?
It's so interesting, Tara, when you ask that question, and I always have to pause before I answer it because there's several things I take into consideration in this given time, right? And so this campaign started in 2020, and we know what 2020 was like in 2021 in the middle of the pandemic, and life was just hard for everybody. And so, but what we also experienced during then is this new age dad, which is our Gen Z dads, right? They are a different kind of parent. They are more apt to engage in the day-to-day activities of their children, changing diapers, feeding them with bottles, pushing their children in strollers, you know, going to baby showers, all these things that the, you know, old dudes like myself, you know, when we were growing up, we didn't do that kind of stuff. And so the trending now are that fathers are being engaged in fully understanding and embracing this notion of nurturing, right? We understand that we nurture our children. Also, we just nurture them differently. And so a hug from us for our little girls does wonders. A I'm proud of you for our boys does wonders when it's coming from both parents, but in this case, more specifically from dads, that when we engage in our children in ways that is both healthy and loving, that you can't measure the level of success that our children experience as a result of that.
Where can we find more fatherhood support services and programs?
So we have a great website. It is fatherhood.gov. We spent a lot of time creating resources and tools and advice for activities and all things fatherhood, these PSAs and other PSAs like them, webinars and podcasts and conversations around fatherhood. But I think the biggest thing that we wanted to create as it relates to fatherhood.gov is a community that fathers can come into fatherhood.gov, get engaged in our social media platforms, and really begin to start understanding that they're not in this alone, that many of us like myself who do this work, I was a young father, 17 years old when I had my children, and they can find like stories that give them the level of humanity that they need to place on the struggles that they're dealing with in the lives of their children. So fatherhood.gov, fatherhood.gov, fatherhood.gov.
Fatherhood.gov, such an important campaign. Thank you so much, Kenneth, for joining us and sharing all that information.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy Father's Day to your listeners.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you. Such a great topic, as I mentioned. Not only do dads need that appreciation, but also, like he was mentioning, having the presence of a father in the home. It is critical. I know, some youth don't have that, and we're thinking about them as well. But it's good that there's resources out there for people on both ends.
Yeah, you mentioned some people, maybe they don't have their direct father, and you don't want them to be left out of this conversation. You know, you want to still find that father figure or someone that you can look up to and is there to support you emotionally in all of those ways, because even just having the opportunity to have a father in the home is something that some people are not so lucky to have. But seeing dads play it out day to day, when my husband's changing diapers and he's grabbing the bottle, that's the type of thing where I know that it's setting a great example also for our boys and for our daughter of what she should expect.
They have a great role model.
Oh, still ahead, explore Bellingham, one tasty taco at a time.
I'm getting hungry. Look at the tastiest taco event and how it's raising funds.